series, 15-part series, in fact, with my co-host, Jucelyn Ong. Right, Jucelyn is an empowerment coach, as well as you actually also do etiquette training, right, Jucelyn?
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right. Hi, Lillian. Hi, everybody who's
Hi.
listening in. Yes. Yeah.
And
So I do
today
etiquette
you're different
training.
with us.
Oh, I realized you're both in yellow, right? Yeah. It's a rainy morning, so add a little bit of sunshine.
Sunshine, sunshine.
That's right.
Mm. Yes. So how's your week?
Good. Good. Actually, how our week is really depends on us, right?
Yes. Yeah.
You know what I
We set
mean?
we set the mindset. We set our being.
Correct. So if you wake up deciding that today it's going to be a good day and you're going to focus on the positive, then even when, not so nice things happen, you can
Hmm.
actually try to look at it from a positive side. So, when someone asks you how was your day, it really depends on how you want to make your day
Yes, you
be,
choose,
right?
right? You choose
Yeah, we have the
to,
power to choose, right? Yes.
yeah. Mm. So today, what are we going to be talking about?
Okay, so today's topic is about in unhealthy relationships, because we've been talking a lot about relationships, red flags, and all. And
Mm-hmm.
today we're touching on a subject which is a little bit to me lah, some people will see it in a negative light, or they don't want to talk about it, or they are afraid of discussing it. They could
Mm-hmm.
be in relationships where there is some sort of abuse.
Mm.
So
Yep.
that's what we're going to talk about. Yeah, we have talked about boundaries in the earlier episode. So I'm not going
Mm-hmm.
to repeat like why it's important to establish boundaries in your relationship.
Mm.
We're not talking just about marriage. We're talking about any form of relationship, be
Relationship.
it
Yes.
friendship, business partnerships, and all. It is very important to have boundaries, to
Mm.
not allow someone to encroach into establish rules that you both have set.
Mm.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
So today we are gonna be talking more about, so what happens if you or you think your friends are in relationships that are causing the person to question themselves.
Mm. So do you want to go into like shall we discuss the different forms of abuse first,
Sure.
or we're going to talk about what constitutes abuse in a
Yeah.
relationship?
So maybe I
Mm.
start with a definition of what is abuse. So
Mm.
basically, abused is defined as any incident or repeated patterns of controlling, threatening behavior. And sometimes it is non-violent in nature
Yeah.
and is usually inflicted by one person over another.
Yeah.
Yeah. Why I specifically, said non-violent? Because when we talk about abuse, very often, what's the first thing that comes to your mind when I say the word abuse,
Yeah.
Lillian?
Oftentimes, people will go to the
Mm,
physical abuse, right?
that's right.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's the most
So when we
common.
talk about
Mm.
abuse, right? Be it human abuse, animal abuse, the first thing that come into our mind is, physical signs of injury or hurt, where you have bruises, you have cuts, right? That is the most straightforward form of abuse that people always associate with the word abuse. But actually, abuse can also take on other forms,
Mm.
more subtle forms.
Mm-hmm.
So one of which could be emotional abuse,
Right.
which is very closely tied in with psychological abuse, which I
Mm.
will be actually sharing a little bit more on for today.
Mm.
There is also, of course, sexual abuse,
Mm-hmm.
financial abuse,
Mm-hmm.
verbal abuse.
Mm.
Yeah. So you notice the physical abuse out of the maybe 5 other abuses that I mentioned are the one that has very obvious manifestation, but maybe not so much the other 5 that
Yep.
can happen behind closed doors,
Yes.
and there is no signs to make them obvious, and therefore sometimes the victims actually fly under the radar.
Mm. Yes.
Yeah, or they themselves might not realize that they are going through that's the scary bit. They
Yes.
themselves don't realize, and I'm going to share why they don't realize
Mm.
that they are in a relationship where the power, it's not equal. Now it only happens when the relationship is in a state where you have one party who is more powerful over the
Mm.
other,
Mm.
and the other party is obviously not standing up or balancing the equation in the relationship.
Right. Yeah, I think it is a very unbalanced, unhealthy, and definitely toxic relationship to be in, and it definitely affects your confidence. Right, you may
Mm,
be even doing very well in your workplace, for example, if the abuse is from the personal relationship, but you can be doing very well at your work front. But once you go back into the interaction with that personal relationship, yeah, the whole confidence just nosedive. Yeah.
yeah, I think what you just mentioned sounds like a form of gaslighting.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Right.
this term might be new to some of you who are listening at the moment. Gas, as in GAS, and then
Mm,
lighting. You know, like you're cooking and then you light the gas. So
mm,
basically, gaslighting is also a form of manipulation where there is a very lopsided um, power in terms of power in a relationship, and the manipulator actually would try to make you question your reality and your sanity over time. And
mm,
one example could be really like what you mentioned. You could be a very accomplished musician or a very accomplished lawyer, even. I've really
mm,
had sharings with me by some women, and they told me
mm,
that they are able to run their business, and they are doing very well in their career. They're even respected and looked up to. But somehow, when they step back into this quadrant of the relationship, they are made to feel, because they're often told that, you are not good, or you call this successful, yeah, and they start questioning their reality.
right.
So
Yeah.
it is a
Um,
form of abuse as well, very subtle, that builds up over time.
mm. So a lot of manipulation here. I think manipulating a person by forcing them to question their thoughts or
Yeah,
even the events that's occurring around them. And I think sometimes it can push that person so far that they question their own sanity. I think
that's
that's the
right.
extreme.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's why
Mm,
it's very dangerous when but in a healthy relationship it wouldn't happen, because you see, it takes two hands to clap. Yeah, you have one
mm,
person who might be trying to push your boundaries or trying to enforce their opinions upon you and all. But if you're in a healthy position yourself, meaning emotionally, physically, you are healthy, and you're able to
mm,
speak up for your right, and there is
mm,
no fear, then
mm,
you would be able to question, is that true?
mm.
Or you'll be
I,
able to
you finish your sentence
yeah,
first.
you will be able to actually not accept what has been forced onto you. But very often, when you find yourself in such situations, usually it is there's a long history of why you are subjugated or why you are in this particular situation.
Mm.
And usually,
I
from
think
experience, I
yeah.
find that if there's a lot of fear in a
Mm,
relationship, be it fear of losing that person, you will
mm,
end up staying or putting up with unhealthy or even toxic behavior, just
mm,
so as to maintain that relationship.
mm. I think going back
Mm,
to what you mentioned, the person may not even realize that they are in a they are being manipulated, or they are in an abusive relationship, because their mindset, their belief system,
Mm.
or the culture that they came from, their upbringing, has conditioned them to believe in a set of mindset, a set of beliefs that they have grown up with. So therefore, they will not be able to realize that they are actually in an abusive relationship. Therefore, they tolerate whatever toxic and behaviors that are imposed on them. Yeah. So I think
Um,
that's something.
yeah,
Mm,
that holds a lot of truth, and you are right. Because if you're brought up in a culture or belief system that tells you, for example, people tell you that a good wife is one whereby you never you walk two steps behind your spouse, you don't walk beside them. A woman's role is to please the man. A woman is, it's just there to support her man, and or you should not disagree because he's the head of the family. So it is true that if you grow up with such a belief system, then it makes it easier also for somebody who is not trying to bring out the best in you, and knowing that you have such a belief system, to easily use that as well to
yeah.
kind of, you know what I mean, to justify why he or she is doing what they're doing. And
Yeah,
then you would think that, yeah, that's normal.
yeah,
Yeah,
it becomes to his advantage that if you have
that's
this
right.
kind of belief system,
That's
and with
right.
the other person's kind of behaviors, it's to their advantage. Yeah.
Mm. Whereas if
Mm.
you're in a healthy relationship and you meet somebody, whether it's your boyfriend, girlfriend, or in a marriage situation, um, they appreciate you for it. The issue is not you. Just remember that, right? It's not that you did something wrong. It is very often, it reflects, our behavior reflects a lot on us. So if you're on the receiving end of a abusive relationship, very often from experience, we always ask like, why me? What did I do wrong? Or
Mm.
yeah, and we spend all our energy trying to ask why, and focusing on what's wrong with me. But
Mm-hmm.
sometimes, and very often, it actually reflects on a person, because people always say that if you're emotionally healthy and all, you won't go around putting people down. There's no need
Yeah.
for you to do that. In fact,
Yeah.
you will want to push people up,
Yes. You want
because
to
you
build
know how
others
good
up,
it
right?
feels to be confident. Yeah, you'll be building people up. But I think it speaks a lot of the character of the person if they're constantly looking at putting someone down to make themselves feel good.
Mm.
So it maybe, they themselves are hurt or dealing with low self-esteem issue, and that's why they need to put
Mm.
someone down in order to elevate themselves. So yeah, so examples of other like emotional and psychological abuse would be, there could be a lot of name calling in the relationship.
Mm-hmm. Mm.
Yeah, like, why are you so slow? Why are you so stupid? Why do you take so long to grasp something? Or you're
Mm.
not a supportive girlfriend or a wife. You can't even do this right. Isn't that your
Yeah.
JD? Yeah, isn't that your JD? So there's this case, real instance, where a lady says, she's not supposed to say no when it comes to the husband wanting, certain things from her. Because to him, it's like, isn't that your JD as a wife? And because her own belief system is, yeah, I'm a good person, I'm a wife only if I meet your expectations.
Mm-hmm.
So I find it very sad, because over time, if you cannot say no, then have you not lost yourself? Because we all have opinions, we all have choices actually. Yeah. So
Yeah.
even
And
within the marriage itself, I think there has to be that respect
Mm.
And it's so crucial. If respect is not in that marriage, then basically you are existing like a, I don't know, anything other than a wife to your spouse, right?
Yeah, it become a thing,
A
a
thing,
thing,
that's
a
right, a thing.
commodity, a thing. You know, not treated as a human being.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because I think when a relationship reaches that stage, it tells a lot about what is going underneath. Very often, a lot of our actions, a lot of our what is manifested is a reflection of deeper issues.
Mm.
Yeah, because I think if somebody truly cares and love for somebody, um, you it's not so much of I want to get uh, my way. It's my way or the highway. It's more of, are you happy? Or when you say no, I respect because I care for you and I love you.
Mm.
Yeah. So, a lot of name calling, a lot of threats, and sometimes even brushing off your feelings.
Mm.
Yeah. Because we all know that we are emotional creatures, we have a need to connect. And when you cut off that communication with the other person, you can actually manipulate it in a sense because now you have forced the other person into an isolation quadrant. And prisoners, right? I
Yeah.
have some who shared with me that
Mm.
when even very hardcore prisoners, right, when they are locked up in a cell and all, but sometimes depending on what they did, they might have a few days or even months in what they call solitary confinement, where they are
Yes.
locked up in a single cell without the any light coming in,
Mm-hmm.
and it's very, very punishing.
Mm.
So when you force someone into a quadrant, it's also a form of power play here
Yeah.
because the person wants to communicate with you.
Yeah.
Or worse, they try to cut you off from your friends or
Mm-hmm.
support system. And
Mm-hmm.
they'll say, oh, if there's anything you do not know, come and look for me. Or don't
Mm.
listen to your friends. And that is how, the balance become even worse because now all
Mm.
you know and all your news feed and so-called love comes from one person. So maybe
Yeah.
that's why they don't even realize that it's wrong
Mm-hmm.
because nobody is able to point out to them as well.
Mm.
Mm.
I think it is a very, mm, I don't know what word to describe this actually, but it's sad lah, right? It's very sad to hear of someone who share that they are so isolated from everyone else. Like you mentioned,
Mm.
everything that they know, their news feed, everything that they know, what is right or what is right and what is wrong, is only coming solely from one person. I think that is a very scary place to be in. Yeah. So I think that's why community support is so important that we I mean, especially for women, I can't speak for
Mm.
men because I understand more about women, right?
Mm.
But of course, I believe it applies for both gender because we are all human beings and we are created to socialize. We are social beings, right?
That's right.
So yes, and I do remember when I mean it's not an abuse, but even that being isolated. I'm talking about being isolated, or you even isolate yourself
Yes.
until you cut off the world from yourself and live in isolation. That is a very miserable place to be in. I personally experienced that because I did that to myself, just like cutting off and just not interested in talking to anyone. And my world
Mm.
back then was just the children, the home, my husband, myself.
Yeah.
It just revolved around just
Yes.
that. Yeah. And the other day when I went shopping with my girl, so she was like asking me, "Hey, mommy, last time did you like, dress tweeny, like nowadays you see a lot of young moms, you will dress up with their baby girl or baby boy and all that
Mm.
stuff. And suddenly it just dawned on me like, wow, back then I was like a really like a walking zombie. I don't even think about myself. Whenever I go, it's Kitty Palace, or any children's store. It is all children's store. Yeah, I know we digress a little bit, but we're talking about isolation here, whether you are being isolated by someone or you actually unknowingly or unconsciously isolating yourself, and you realize that, hey, you're not interacting with anyone else except for a particular person. Yeah, I think when you come to this realization, if you happen to be listening to this part of the sharing, if you realize that you don't talk to anyone else but this one person or this two person in your life, yeah, I think it's important that you want to expand that circle of interaction. Yeah.
Yeah, I totally feel you, when you said
Mm.
whatever, when you just shared whatever you shared, I'm like, hey, that sounds like me. Yeah, that really sounded like me. So everything is about the children, it revolves around that. So can you imagine when when it revolves around on your world just
Mm.
consists of one person, and what happens if that one person doesn't reciprocate or put you down and all, your world just crashes. And anyway,
Mm.
it's not healthy, really, ladies, to be in a very codependent relationship. Of course
Mm.
it's normal and right that we lean on our partners
Mm.
once in a while for your emotional support, for everything, but you cannot lose yourself in that process. It's not going to be healthy for the relationship as well,
Mm.
right? So when codependent means you allow yourself to just depend on that person for everything, even for making decisions. So what are some of the steps if you find yourself in that situation where you
Mm.
your whole world just revolves around your spouse or your boyfriend and girlfriend? Then maybe you want to take steps to regain your own confidence and build yourself out. See, like I said before, right, imbalance of power can only happen when one person's power keeps increasing and the other keep decreasing. So to be
Yeah.
in a healthy, fulfilling relationship, you can do your part as well to bring to the
Mm.
table substance as well to the relationship. Remember,
Yeah.
I was saying Jerry Maguire, in Tom Cruise, right, in that movie that says "You complete me," and I don't totally agree with it now that I
Yeah.
think of it.
Me either.
It's actually two complete, wholesome, fulfilled individuals, healthy individuals coming together. And then that's where
Mm.
you have a very fulfilling and healthy relationship, right?
Yeah.
So what you
Yeah.
can
And
do
going
is,
back to the codependent
yes,
subject, I think some of the signs of that
codependency.
you don't, yeah, if you are not aware that are you actually in a codependent relationship, right? Some of the signs could include like you having difficulty making decisions in a relationship. Like you always have to depend on that person to make the decision.
Mm,
You can't make a decision on your own completely. Yeah, and you have difficulty identifying your own feelings,
yes.
right? Or difficulty communicating in a relationship, or you value the other person's approval, um, and more than you value yourself, right?
Mm,
Like
mm.
valuing the approval of others, yeah, more than you value yourself. Yeah, and I think lacking trust in yourself also, and having very very low self esteem. These are
Self-esteem.
some like, yeah, these are some signs, yeah, that you may be in a codependent relationship.
That's
Mm.
right. Where you can't stand up for yourself as well, or rather you're not willing to stand up for yourself. These are all signs of a codependent relationship. So if you find yourself identifying with some of the points that we have highlighted, then what can you do to slowly, it's like going to the gym, right? And practicing working on your muscles. You don't expect to like go to the gym today and then do a workout and then whoa, tomorrow you have
Wow.
toned
More
abs
like
and your six pack, and your bicep triceps suddenly just grows, right? It takes constant and very repetitive going to the gym, practicing, and having that discipline to keep at it. So if you
yeah.
find yourself, very difficult to make decisions and all, to start with small ones, to practice small ones. Like, so the next time someone asks, what do you like to eat? Catch yourself when you say, whatever you like, or whatever it is. I know sometimes, like for me, right? Because I'm not a fussy eater and also to me, it's like, okay, if it makes you happy. But I think now I try to, okay. Or when I'm with friends or people who truly care about me and they know that is my area of improvement, they will kind of, not that they force me, they would try to still encourage
Encourage.
me to make a decision. Yeah. And then
Yeah.
sometimes they narrow it down to maybe two. So maybe it's easier for me. So this is just an example of practicing your muscles.
Yes.
And then slowly it graduates to bigger decisions. Yeah, because in
Yeah.
life, these are just small, but once your muscle is built up, it's just easier to move on to level 2, level 3, level 4. But you are jumping the gun if you are suddenly, okay, I'm gonna make decision about big decisions, yeah, without having the confidence and feeling good when you make small decisions and you realize that, hey, it's not that bad, people actually are voicing out your opinions and people actually listen to it and say, hey, those are wise advice. And then you realize that, hey, that helps your confidence. So that is one, learning to make decisions.
Yeah.
I think another way of building yourself up is to spend time with yourself. I know as moms, some of you are like, that is almost impossible. My schedule is back to back. I have 3 kids under 5. I understand that. I've been through that before. Yeah, but I'm not asking 1 hour if you're even just 10 to 15 minutes each day to I think spend time dating yourself, knowing where you are going, or you know what I mean? Just don't lose yourself in all that
Yeah,
busyness
just
and all.
like what we do, the 7 minutes workout, early in the
Yeah,
morning,
yeah,
first
yeah. You
thing,
want to tell
just
them about your 7-minute workout in the
yeah,
mornings?
we meet up every morning, daily, 7 a.m. via Zoom to do a morning check-in. So we start with the 7 minutes workout and then we do a mindset check-in, right? To start our day with a positive mindset to choose, how we want to be for the rest of the day. Yeah. So it is a very good self-awareness check-in. Yeah, every morning, 7 a.m. Just check
Yeah.
out our
So
Facebook page and yeah,
yeah. So
we'll
even
put the link there.
things like that will help you to refocus and help you to center. I think that's very important. You see, so build yourself up. That is one way to ensure that you are equipped to handle what is thrown at you, including the relationship that you are currently in. And very often, instead of having that victim mindset and, just going, yeah, it's like that, and I'm trapped here and I'm going to give up on it, I think if the relationship is important enough to you, how bad do you want it? I always ask the ladies, how bad do you want it? You gonna give up on it? Or do you see glimpse of hope? And just to bring them back into what attracted you to the other person. And then, at least work on it. At least try. Work on it. But having said that, of course, in certain situation, I understand where maybe that is really abuse and all, and you have tried, but you can't seem to or you are in danger and all, then maybe it's okay to seek help and you should
Yeah,
seek
please seek
external
help.
help. Please seek
Yes.
external help. Yeah, you're not alone because like we mentioned earlier, isolation is very scary. And sometimes it feels like you can't go a step further. So please seek help. There's really no shame in seeing somebody, a professional, to
Yeah.
help you navigate out of it. Yeah, there's a
Yeah.
lot of resources out there. Because
Yeah.
sometimes the problem might not lie with you. Yeah.
Yeah.
Sometimes the problem might not lie with you. Then maybe the other party also needs some form of help just to navigate.
Yeah. But at least you must make a decision. You must make a choice to take charge of your own life, you know, because if your own sanity is in jeopardy, you want to take it's your life, you know. It's my life. I am responsible for my life, my happiness. If I'm not happy, something is wrong here. So we want to address that. Yeah.
Yeah.
And, and
Because I think
seeking for
like
support is not weakness. Seeking for
that's
support
right.
is courage, right?
That's right.
Mm,
Because like I shared before, we are all relational creatures, right? So relationship does play a very important role, and it does affect us in more ways than one. It affects us mentally, physically, emotionally, and then it manifests in our relationship with the wider world out there. So
yeah.
you might, not be able to meet your full potential because of all these issues
Mm,
that is like, pulling you down.
yeah.
Yeah, you
I
can
think
only fly when you let go of the weight sometimes, or deal with what's the issues that are weighing you down.
yeah. I think I want to share a little bit about personal experience, as in, like, it's not, like I mentioned, it's not in an abuse. I'm not in an
Mm,
abusive relationship. My husband is a very nice person, but it's more about isolating ourselves. Like I mentioned, I isolated myself, right? I just cut off. Maybe some of you who are watching this, maybe you were like me. You are like me, that had been putting on a very strong front, thinking that I can handle this, but you're suppressing all the emotion, whatever negative emotion, you're suppressing them, and isolating yourself even, and feeling the shame of, like, why do I can handle this, I don't need help. If you are in that position, I really want to encourage you to reach out for support, because it can spiral into a very detrimental state, to a state that I just wanted to die. Okay, to be very honest, it came to a point where I don't see any hope or any desire or any motivation to actually continue this life, because I'm not happy, and everything seems so, yeah, there's it turns out to be, you can see it from another point of view, like, oh, why aren't you being grateful, why aren't you being thankful that you have a good life and all that. But when a person is lack of purpose, there's like, and there's no, like I mentioned, you're isolating yourself so much, there's no purpose, there's no interaction with anyone else except that few person in your life. Yeah, I think that can be a very fixated, very limiting view of your life. Yeah, and regardless of basic needs how much basic needs you have, you actually do not live in lack of those basic needs. That's why we hear of people attempting suicide, um, when their basic needs are actually very well taken care of, and yet they chose that route. Why?
mm,
Yeah.
mm.
So physical needs are true, but emotional and psychological needs are very real as well.
Yes.
So there must be a balance. Yeah. So yeah, I just want to encourage our audience out there. If you find yourself in if we what we are sharing, you can resonate with it. Please reach out for support. Yeah, stop isolating yourself, and reach out to someone that you, outside of that one or two person that you only speak to. Yeah,
Mm,
right.
agree. I think when, the deepest, what really hits, like you said, sometimes physical hardship we can put up with,
Mm,
but when you don't see purpose and you don't see hope at the light
yeah,
of that tunnel, it's just every day it's a repetition. It's meaningless.
yeah,
Then that is when, if your mind is not in a healthy state already because of whatever that's going on. Sometimes it could be accumulation of physical tiredness, of mental, and emotional breaking down, like the cracks are beginning to wear, the cause and effect. That is where you can find yourself in very dangerous situation. I mean, for the longest time, I've also shared that.
Hi, Amy, by the way. That's Amy. Thank you.
Yeah. For me, I really feel you and I understand as well, because there was a period where I didn't see how I'm gonna get through it. So, I just know that I am living, but I'm not existing, and there's no meaning. So, but I know, and I toyed with maybe ideas that are not very healthy as well. And I even did up my last, I labeled it on the envelope as my last document, I actually selected the picture that I want, I laminated it, I wrote everything down. And now that I look back at it, right, I literally can feel the sadness and the desperation that I must have been at that point of time when you had no support. And every day is, I wish I'm not here, but because I'm here, but you kind of you don't look forward to a new day because you just know it's going to be a repeat. Or you're in tears all the time, or every day is just difficult. You don't see purpose and hope.
Yeah.
But
I remember
the good
those
news
days were
is,
like it's a walking zombie. I literally,
it's really a walking
it's like
zombie,
a
right?
walking zombie. Yeah.
Taking care of the needs of the children. In fact, it's very tiring because when you have to put up a mask, it takes additional energy from me actually to put on a very happy front. Nobody knows. So I struggle on my own. And then, at work, because I was a boss, I had to, you can walk around with such negative vibes, right? It's going to affect your stuff. So I had to be like a version up when I'm not feeling anywhere there, just really at the bottom. And all this faking and covering up and actually just being totally miserable.
Yeah,
And
we call that, a very high functioning depressed person.
Yeah, high functioning depressed person. And then in the quiet moments, it's when I struggle with all the dark thoughts, or when I'm taking the train home from work, and and then you just give in to your emotions in the train or on the bus. And that's when you will know that you're not really okay. But it's okay not to be okay. Really, really. Yeah.
Right.
So
I think Amy says, thank you to Lillian for giving me a hand when I was under the weather. I'm grateful for your Coffee with Lillian session. I found light at the end of the tunnel after chatting with you. Thank you, Amy. Amy, it is because you also make a decision, a choice. Everybody makes a choice. Like I mentioned earlier, you must make a decision to want to help yourself. Likewise, Jucelyn and myself, we made a choice as well at that point in our life to, okay, enough is enough. I'm not going to continue living like that. I'm not going to continue pretending. We're not going to, pretend that everything is okay, because everything is not okay. And it's time that we take charge. And when we take charge, when a decision is made, that's where, the actions, the required action, necessary actions that required to fix that, address whatever issues that we have, will start unfolding and start taking place. But first thing first is making that decision. And of course, before you can even make that decision, is coming to that awareness of where we are in. That's why this channel, that's why what Jucelyn and I, we're sharing, highlighting all these issues, all these situations, all these scenarios. Why are we doing all this? It's to help you to come to that, help our audience to come to that awareness. Right? With the awareness, we empower you with a choice. So yes, and that choice is something that we cannot help. Yeah, because it's your choice. It's a personal choice. Yeah.
Yeah. And be gentle with yourself. That is something that I want to encourage, because if you're in relationships that are not healthy, there's a lot of fear, and it takes a lot of courage, trust me. So it takes a lot of courage to even make the decision, knowing that there are consequences that you might have to deal, not might, you will have to deal with when you make a certain choice.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, there will be consequences. And very often, if we keep focusing on what those consequences is going to be, and then, it'll just spiral downwards again, and you'll find yourself just marching on the spot again. And sometimes I've gone through it. It took years and years, even decades, before I decided that, okay, this cannot go on. Yeah.
So on the bright side, for our audience out there, imagine you could live a life where, you have a community of support. You have friends who understand what you're going through, and you can be real with yourself. You can be vulnerable and share your true feelings, without feeling shameful. You can be very authentic, and if you're down, you say you're down. If you're angry, you can say that you're angry, and you can, just like, what we have been enjoying here in our community, we are so free to be ourselves, and then we give each other permission to support us, to give us constructive feedback, because we don't see our blind spots, right? So and that is a growth journey that we can embark together, so you don't have to go through those challenges alone. We have a community here, which is Women of Courage Asia, and we would love to invite you to join us every month, every last Tuesday of the month. It is a free monthly empowerment meeting for all to come, all women to come and not only be inspired by the stories of courage, but you'll be equipped with, strategies and skill sets that help you to overcome those challenges and make connections, make new friends. It's a very safe environment that we are doing our very, very best to protect and create. So, and protect, and create this safe environment. So join us, click on the link, right? Women of Courage .asia, and last Tuesday of the month. I think Yenny and Helen will be sharing their stories, right? So that's that. And above and beyond that, check out Jucelyn's book, right? Go to her book, her webpage, jucelynong.com. Grab a copy of her book, because her book is a great resource for you to actually, gain awareness of what are all those blind spots, right? What are all those red flags that you must be looking out for? And yes, Jucelyn, share with the audience a little bit more about your book, how your book can actually empower the ladies out there.
Okay, so this book is I'm hoping that it will be like I won't call it a guidebook, but very much a sharing of what the nuggets of wisdom that I have amassed over the years when in my own growth journey as well. And it talks about the different stages of relationships, and so there are chapters that might speak or shout out to you more,